Welcome, everyone, to another ethereal experience. I'm your host, Alex.
Yeah, and I'm Ian.
All right, let's get into it. So, first quote of the week, I'll let you know. I thought this one was pretty funny.
I saw the change that you made on the quote, and I was like, all right, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
So the quote is by Stephen Wright, and it's my theory of evolution is that Darwin was adopted.
Ouch.
Yikes.
Like I honestly did not know until you brought it up who Stephen Wright was. I'm assuming they were rivals. That's like
no clue.
That's like an old school, like just savagery right there. I mean,
I agree. That was like a power move, as they say.
Absolutely. But yeah, so the song of the week, so you recommended this last week. It's Cardiac Arrest by Bad Sons. And so I'm not even gonna lie, it awakened a long, like, dormant memory, because I remember that when this song came out, like, years ago. I think it was like 2013 or 2014, and I completely forgot about it until you brought it up again. I'm like, oh wait, I know this chorus. It's like one of those songs that you don't remember the name, you don't remember the band, but you remember the beat. And anyway, yes, and I guess other people thought that too, because I saw like a whole string of comments like, oh yeah, I remember this.
It was like one of those like nostalgia
it was
comment chains. Yeah, I mean, I actually heard this song only a couple years ago. Like, I didn't know about it until one of my friends, Andrew, who recommended it to me, and we played it on a trip. I was like, this song is sick. I really like it because was such a. It was one of those songs where I couldn't figure it out, and like the songs that I can't figure out, the actual, the actual production behind it, it really interests me because it's like I'm curious what they did and how they did it, and it was really cool because if you actually listen to the song in the album just before that, it has some of the same elements of the song. Like, for example, I thought it was a piano, but it's actually a guitar that's the main sound, and I was like, that is sick.
Really?
And,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like in the song before, like they strum it a little bit, and I'm pretty like it's pretty incredible the amount of processing that they had to do for that that song to like the sound to exist in that song. Like, it was really cool. I enjoy that song a lot. And not to mention like the lyrics, like lyrics are pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're simple, but on the surface they're simple, but they're actually pretty powerful when you at least from the chorus point of view. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Exactly. It's like a poem almost.
Yeah. And I saw like hour-long and 10-hour-long loops, like they always do that though with like really with like popular music. But I don't know if I could ever, even no matter how much I love the song, I don't know if I could listen to it on repeat for 10 hours though.
I mean, isn't that the thing where you find a song you really like and you listen to it 4 times in a row and then it loses its potency?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
It's like after an hour of listening to a song straight, it's burned in my brain. I don't even need to listen to it the rest of my life. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, I get it. Like, I guess if you're trying to have a constant mood,
yeah, just for 10 hours straight. Yeah, but
maybe it's for people that want to for when they're sleeping, because like some people like they might play that as they're sleeping, try to like listen to the song in their dreams. That'd be kind of interesting.
I love dreaming about cardiac arrest. But cool. Well, yeah. So if y'all haven't taken a look at that song yet, I'd definitely recommend a listen. It's an awesome song. So so I guess touching on the next topic. We're going to talk about animal domestication, which is kind of a big, not a 180, but a big change up from what we have been talking about, which is like grand scale, like societal changes in technology and energy, which kind of go together, I guess. But at any rate, I mean, this is like one of the first, examples of
Human ingenuity.
yeah, ingenuity, exactly. I mean, animal domestication is, first of all, I'm really glad again Alex brought up this topic last week. He came up with it, but it's a really great one to start out with, just because it's one of the first examples of people coming together and utilizing natural resources, i.e., animals, and using it to further human civilization. So I'm excited to talk about this today.
Absolutely, and just for some a little preface and the backstory, I started thinking about this topic specifically because me and my girlfriend went to a museum in Paris that was like about evolution and animals.
Mhm.
And I don't know where I stand necessarily with evolution and whatnot, but I could certainly see and I learned about how animals and humans, like, because we lived amongst animals and nature, like our history is pretty tied together, and the success of the human civilization was important to the micro scale evolutions of like going from a wolf to a dog. Like that was incredibly important for humans to thrive in nature. And so
Right.
that got me really thinking, like, how did we do all of this? Like, because I mean, like, animals are only one part. You got the farming side of it. Like that's a whole nother ball game, but it's still incredible.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So I guess to just start out with, we were gonna just kind of go down a list, if you will, of what it
Laundry list.
a laundry, yes, essentially of what it took way back, to come up with what it meant to domesticate an animal. So, and I guess we can just go through it. The one of the big ones, just because of how nomadic people were back in the day, like tens of thousands of years ago, resources weren't always like plentiful. Like land wasn't always fertile. Weather could be rough, so they needed animals that needed a flexible diet, who are able to breed relatively easily for food, for to be ridden on. They needed to be relatively calm, and they needed to be able to be I guess submissive is the right word. Basically, to where humans were the leaders in effect of their.
Docile, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably a better word. But yeah, so I guess we can just touch on that. I mean, I wonder like what went through the quote unquote like first human's mind, like when they saw, oh yeah, maybe I can use this animal for. I mean, maybe I don't have to be in constant danger all the time. Maybe I can actually use these guys and put them in a pen somewhere.
I think I know what was going on in their head. I'm getting this I'm getting this idea from the video that we recommended in the homework. In the video, there was a caveman thinking, and he was like, cow equal meat, lion lion eats cows, and lion also meat. Why not just cow meat instead of
Lion meat. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, shout out to the people who became lion meat before us. Who so like I'm really glad those guys did the dirty work for us. So
Sure.
we didn't end up being food, because without them we wouldn't have figured it. Oh yeah, cows aren't trying to kill us.
Well, not even that. Like, also, like, cows are like quote unquote vegetarian. Like,
Right,
they
right.
just eat grass, which is incredible if you think about it. Like, this animal literally just eats like blades of grass all day, and it weighs like somewhere, like, some are like just massive, but like most of them, like, plus like 200 pounds. It just
Oh,
full of
way more
weight.
than that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like they're like I think 1,000, right?
A
Somewhere in
ton.
there. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, something like that. But
It's
I mean,
crazy, like, to think, because I mean it's pretty genius. Like, for the first humans, it's like they don't really need like a crazy diet. They just need,
Right.
some grass, and they're a mobile meat unit. Like literally, that's a
Yeah.
week's worth of food that you can just take with you.
Right. And yeah, and I think we touched on it just a minute ago, but yeah, because cows could just pretty much eat most grass. I think that's why, uh, primitive humans were able to just take them anywhere. And it doesn't go just for cows, I'm sure. Yeah, it goes for goats and sheep and all those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. But just the fact that people were able to figure that out. I mean, we obviously take it for granted, the idea of meat, because obviously we can go to a supermarket, right? But
Mm.
someone had to figure out somewhere along the way, oh, wait, not only can I eat this thing, but I can essentially create a meat factory in my pen. you know?
Exactly, and it's pretty genius because also because like if we think back, to the times where like they're first starting to do it, I'm assuming, I don't know exactly, we're still a little confused and curious about the actual dates of like first domestications, but like a lot of people were still living a nomadic and tribal life. Like they couldn't just like put a farm out and just like let it harvest over a couple of months. Like they were moving. So
Yeah.
domestication was important to the civilization as a means, like for all parts of life, because like we were connected to obviously meat for food, and farming wasn't always an option.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have a community, right, if you don't have a reliable source of food because you're just going to have to keep moving. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you live next to a river, I mean, obviously you can't live on water forever. You're gonna get really skinny really fast. Um, so yeah, just the ability to have animals around that you can use. Yeah, it's extremely important. It seemed like, and it makes sense. But yeah, I guess in the modern day, it's kind of hard to like remember that because people have, but in the city, it's mostly just in industry, right?
Yeah.
It's not you don't have a lot of cattle or all you really have are pets, which I guess we'll talk about in a second. But um, so you don't you forget that there's these massive farms probably right outside of town that are strictly used just to be delivered to the city or the metro area. So it's set up differently, but at the same time, it's the similar concept, I guess, to way back.
True, and even then, like mass agriculture, like mass ag, like it's pretty hidden from us. Like I remember whenever I watched in high school, like the films that were like pieces about McDonald's, like a
Mm.
Super Size Me and whatnot. Like
Oh yeah,
the farmers that work for Tyson, like all that stuff is like super secret. Like you can't look inside. It's all like locked down and whatnot. Like mass ag has done a good job putting the veil in front of us, not seeing what they're doing.
yeah.
So,
Well,
and I mean,
because go ahead.
I was gonna say even like the milk industry, like we don't see that stuff. We just get it at a grocery store.
But fun fact about milk, you may have known this already, but milk is not white; it's yellow. Uh, and
And
they
you want to know something even crazy? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that, yeah, they just put a white like dye to make it look nicer because you don't want to look like you're drinking pee.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to get that advertising marketing out there.
sure,
And
sure, yeah.
with milk also something pretty interesting. Like one of my friends, Blake, his dad actually works in the industry, and
Mm.
he was telling me that obviously most of all of our milk has some powder in it, some milk powder, as a base, as well as natural milk. But in other countries, like developing countries, they're able to keep like milk out like in warm, like it's normally warm, right? And they don't,
Sure.
yeah, and they
Oh,
don't worry about like refrigerating it as much because it's so natural that it obviously it doesn't last as long as like the powder based milk, but like they're not worried about refrigerating it because they're just
mm,
gonna drink it immediately.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna drink it soon, yeah, why worry about it? It's
True.
also a foreign concept. Yeah, it's like, yeah, because it's gonna go bad like in a day. But yeah, same, yeah. I mean, I think that applies to a lot of stuff because you don't, in this day and age, you don't want to make your food. You don't want to show the origins of your food. Like you want to show the steak, right? You don't want to show the cow getting, chopped up.
No,
Um,
I'll talk about that later. I have a pretty interesting and cool story and a little information later. But to go back a little bit to the mass agriculture, like I think I talked about it a little bit in an episode prior, but like the concept of like meat your meat, like I really do believe that it's important for us to be informed and understanding of like what's really going on. Because I mean, you've seen the picture. I believe I've shared it with you where like at a grocery store such as Walmart, like there is around 27 companies that fill out the whole entire store. Like they own all of like their umbrella companies. They own all of the smaller companies which put out products. Like take for example Unilever.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
you can find their
they're
symbol
everywhere.
on just about anything. It's crazy how much they own.
Yeah.
But like I think I think that vegetarians have like the right idea of being conscious of how like what's really going on, but I think that they're implementing this solution in possibly the wrong way.
Oh yeah. Elaborate for maybe some vegetarian people who may be watching this.
Well, I mean, the thing is like at least in my opinion, like animals they die like no matter what, and none of them like live a pretty life. Like they're not there's not some paradise where they just die because they're old. They all die like whether tooth, fang, or claw. Like something kills them, or they get killed by like some other animal kills them, or something inside of them kills them. Like there's not a
Mm.
happy ending for animals. So I think that I mean it's good to preserve animals and whatnot, and I think that mass ag is probably not a good thing, but I still
Yeah.
think that as humans we are actually made to eat meat because we have like our obviously our teeth are carnivorous. Like we have carnivorous portions of our teeth for and our body and our digestive system has been adapted for it. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any to me at least. I don't think there's any and this is just my personal opinion, but
Hmm.
I don't find utility in not eating meat.
Yeah, just the idea of not eating meat, I'd have to agree. I mean, I eat meat, for full disclaimer. But yeah, I mean, you always, I guess and it's a fair argument. You don't want to support industries who allow animals to just suffer all the time. I mean, I can see the argument if you know like specific companies who may be practicing um, extremely unethical treatment of animals. I mean, obviously, we don't want to see animals, suffer for long periods of time. I don't think any normal person would. Um, but
Hey, Tony Fauci would say differently thanks to his maximum pain tolerance testing.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he would say that there's some. I don't. I'm so curious about what that was about.
uh,
Like, how
so
much can you get out of that?
so sorry, I may know who Tony Fauci is. He's not related to Anthony Fauci, right?
Oh, that's what I short name call him, Anthony Fauci.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the same person. I didn't know if you were just shortening it or not. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I was shortening it. I like to shorten names like for fun, like to soprano characters, like
Yeah.
Done, like
What would I be? I would just be E.
hey.
Hey. But sorry to get back on topic. Did you want to talk about, I guess, the difference between what constitutes a farm animal versus what we consider pets? Kind of the origin story of that, or did you want to touch on something else before we jump into that?
I do want to say about vegetarians and like their stand.
Hmm.
I think also a problem that I personally have with like going vegetarian, not something that I have with it, but something for me to get into that type of lifestyle. Because if I make that stand, then I feel like it would be a domino effect. Because we talk about like unethical practices, right?
Mhm.
And we've mentioned all of the conflict minerals out of Africa. And
Yeah.
then we
Yep.
touched a tiny bit, like we just tiptoed around the bush about the conflict materials that go into silicone and semiconductors. And I mean, if I go vegetarian, I shouldn't just stop there. If I'm trying to
Sure.
be true to my stance, like it's a domino effect where I don't know what I could buy. You know?
Yeah. I try not to like judge people too much who like buy stuff that are like imported and stuff like that, because I mean I'd be I think a hypocrite in a lot of ways, because I'm sure a lot of products I own at some point along the supply chain were probably not manufactured in the most ethical, I guess, working conditions. So it would be hypocrite. Essentially, like the only way I wouldn't be a hypocrite is if I lived in a log cabin, no internet, no electricity, no running water, maybe running water. But that may be an exception. But essentially, like completely self-sustaining off the grid. That would be the only way I could see me not being hypocritical, I guess, in my opinion, of where people buy their stuff.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
So we can definitely go into the difference between farm animals and pets.
yeah, for sure. It's I get again in the modern age, it's you're like, oh yeah, I mean dogs and cats. I mean, of course they're pets. I mean, we love them. They're great. I'm not a huge cat person, but I don't I'm not hating. I'm not a hater. But at any rate, yeah, nowadays it's pretty. We can distinguish, I guess, what's farm animals versus pets, because we're like, oh, okay, one of them keeps you company, the other one we use for food, or we use for like sports, like horses or sporting. I don't know what you want to say for that, but um,
Dressage.
yeah, there you go. But back in the day, and it didn't really dawn on me until I started reading up on it. Pets weren't just a source of like comfort or a friend. They were actually the whole purpose of domesticating. Well, can't really domesticate a cat too much in my opinion, but at least having them around and domesticating dogs was so that they could be useful. You didn't want to eat them unless you got desperate, I guess, but you wanted them around to protect your livestock. You wanted them around to get rid of pests. So back, I mean, way back, I mean, they weren't just companions, which I'm sure in like some rural areas it's still that way, but at least around here, no one really seems to care about that. It's really you just can just see them as friends. So
Sure. I mean, I found it incredibly interesting how like even something and it's not obvious to us at first, right? Because we live in like a modern society, and this is not like something that's inherently like seen. But I mean, it's so cool to think like even like our society is still here because so many parts of it have like functional aspects to the point where pets were a technology that was used for humans. Like
right.
the article that we recommended for the homework, like it talked about how like dogs were incredibly important for like hunting as well as preserving like agriculture, and cats were great for pest removal, and like that was so interesting to me that we were like, hey, these things do this, and our life would be better if we had them with us so that they could continue doing this for us.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that I think back way back before any concept of modern like convenience like electricity or running water or food brought directly to the table from somebody else. I mean, you really couldn't afford, most people couldn't afford the idea of luxury. So a lot of stuff, came from practicality. So you know, if you wanted to have something, you definitely wanted to make use of it. It seems like, at least. So, um, yeah, yeah, it's just so weird to me to think that dogs weren't just friends or just a good way to keep you company. Just because it's kind of ingrained in me that, oh yeah, that's all they're really used for. I mean, you see sheepdogs and stuff, but you're like,
Yeah, they're
oh,
still
okay.
around, but
But
and you know what? That's actually pretty crazy. Like we think about like the fact that that there we have a certain dog for firehouses. Like they were actually bred and they were utilized because
or
of
yeah,
yeah for their features and like that's crazy. Like Dalmatians specifically, and then like retrievers. Like
mm,
I have a golden retriever, and and dude, they just love like retrieving things, like taking
yeah,
them bird hunting. They freaking love it.
yeah, and I guess dogs that like sniffing out bombs and drugs and that sort of thing too. I mean, now that I think about it, yeah, they're still around. Like they're used for practical stuff. But I guess for the average Joe like me, uh,
The Dallas citizen. Let's put it that way, because
yeah, yeah,
keep in mind we still got the third world countries here that they're trying to get to the first industrial civil or the first industrial revolution.
yeah, yeah. So okay, maybe like in the scope of the West. Yeah, that's a good point.
I like that.
Yeah, or the East. I don't know. The developed world. Yeah.
That's
So that's a good point. Yeah, and I think we talked about it earlier, but farm animals really propelled civilization forward, right?
it.
And I also didn't think about this, but apparently, way back, when cows were first being introduced as a source of food, their milk, humans just had an awful time digesting it.
That was so surprising to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
keep
which
going. That was cool.
yeah, I mean, I know that lactose intolerance obviously exists, but it's something that you're like, oh well, okay, you just have a. I mean, you can still digest it. You just may feel uncomfortable if you drink a lot of milk.
Have some tummy problems.
Yeah, you may have some issues later on. Don't get me wrong, but like apparently, like way back, like people just initially couldn't even stomach it at all. Um,
And
so
interestingly enough, that's how they trace the time, or at least the period around whenever we domesticated cows, is because we started to have that lactose tolerance within our
right,
uh, DNA genes and whatnot.
yeah, and wasn't it depending on where people were from too?
I believe so.
I think so. I can't remember, but at any rate, yeah, you're right. Which is it's crazy. I mean, it's really not a long span of time when you think about it either that we were able to develop that. I guess tolerance. Yeah, that's the right word. So yeah, that's cool to me.
And to connect that to like pets, like just I mean we've talked a little bit about the football,
Yeah, my dog.
aka he and stuff, but like it's actually like wild how far from a wolf or like how far from a wolf that dog is
She's about as far
now.
away from a wolf as you can get. I agree.
Like it's like we engineered like them on purpose or not to like for the football. I don't know if that was on purpose. I think
Well, yeah, that may have just been a mistake. I don't know.
I'm
Uh,
hating so much on this dog. I'm sorry.
I know we're hating. She's sleeping right now, so she's not hearing any of this, so we're chilling.
Okay, but it's wild. Like we literally engineered all these different I don't know if species is correct. All these different versions
Yeah,
of like dogs and cats to have specific uses for humans. Like that's such an interesting thing, because you got to think about the scope of it. Like
sure.
I like elephants particularly, like we regard them as not necessarily domesticated, even though they are still used in circuses and in a lot of third world countries are used as like basically a machine, like a caterpillar machine, a
Yeah.
cat.
So I guess maybe tamed. Them, I guess they're tamed, but not
Yeah.
they're not house pets. But yeah,
Exactly, and the reason is because the time that it takes to, like, the time that it takes for a baby to mature, and then like the lineage of that to pick out the right version that has the right one that has the attributes that you want for the next version. Like
right.
I don't think we've accomplished that because of the scope that it takes, but we were able to do it with these other animals, and I just think that it's also interesting. Well, I know later we were gonna touch possibly on a little bit of the downsides of domestication, but I would like to touch a little bit on the pet side right now, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
So I think it's really interesting how in the modern world we have like cats and dogs, and they are now becoming a problem for nature. Like, I don't know if you've heard, but
Yeah.
or if you know, but like cats are literally killing machines, and
Yeah. No.
and in Australia it's a problem. Like they're just taking out populations.
Yeah. Like I think it's a problem too in some parts of at least America where yeah, cats are just wreaking havoc on like native species. Like they basically will take down anything that's a little smaller than them. And and the thing about cats is cats don't always like eat it. They just like paw at it and like they call it good.
Yeah,
So it's like, bro, come on. At least finish what you started. Like, but anyway. Yeah, no, it's a jokes aside, yeah, it's a serious problem. I don't know how much dogs play into that. I'm assuming they do to some degree, probably with disease and
so here's my opinion. I don't mean to cut you off. This is where I want to take the conversation. But with dogs, I don't think that they're doing anything necessarily bad inherently. But I think that our obsession with dogs could possibly be bad. Because I mean, I remember before I was going on a mission trip to Nepal, and before, like, we had weekly meetings where we would meet together and kind of get prepared, because there's a pretty big culture shock going from Dallas to literally across rivers to places that they don't even know what electricity is.
yeah,
So
right.
we had some meetings, and one of the people that came over from Nepal to kind of help us, like, he was a translator and he was a missionary in Nepal, and he came over to start training us and whatnot. And he was telling us that the most amazing thing that he saw was how well we treated our pets rather than the homeless person that was on the street. Like, he was surprised at how a society could pamper dogs to the point where we have their own special dinners.
Oof.
And we want to change their water like as many times as possible to keep it clean for them. But we are so reluctant to help homeless people or even support other disenfranchised groups in our society. And that hit me hard because I have a dog and I love this dog, but it opened my eyes to the fact that, like, these animals, like, there's a price for them, and we have humans that are suffering a lot more than is necessary.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I think you get conditioned to the idea of homelessness and poverty in your country, and at least around here, to where you may overlook it. Yeah, definitely guilty of. Yeah, getting used to sounds so bad, but certainly getting accustomed to the idea of seeing it around me. But at the same time, I change out my dog's water like 3 or 4 times a day, and I probably spend half my budget on their food, and of course vet bills and all that. So yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
And it really hits you when, like, you think about, like, man, $1 a day can actually help someone, but, like, dog needs food.
I know. Yeah, it's more like $4 a day or $5 a day. So
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
to get off that depressing topic, I just thought that was like a piece of insight that I mean, at least I want to spread and share, because that hit me. I was like, you're not wrong, and that's terrible.
No, you're not. Yeah, that's just facts. But let's talk about horses real quick.
Yeah.
So, I guess to get back on the topic of initially what we were breeding animals for, in terms of, I guess I'm sure some people consider horses as pets. I guess it depends on what you use them for, but up until like recently, right, horses were used for probably tens of thousands of years for riding long distances, and because they have such great stamina, they can ride, for many miles without taking, frequent breaks. And when you think about it, it's what, 2021 now. 100 years ago, at least in the West, I mean, people were still using horses if they were poor. They
Trying to figure out trains and stuff.
Yeah, and even then with trains, like, not trains couldn't run everywhere, so you had to use horses to get around in more rural areas. And cars weren't really cheaper for most people until like what, the 40s, the 50s.
I believe so, yeah. With the specifically Ford's, manufacturing process, the line.
Oh, right, the assembly line. That's right. And so yeah, I mean, horses. I mean, if it weren't for horses, we probably wouldn't be sitting here or I wouldn't be sitting here talking. You may be, because France it's been around forever. But I'm a lot of New World countries may never have existed if it weren't for horses, or at least they would have been a lot smaller.
For sure. I mean, horses are just like an all around like transportation machine. Like,
right. It's crazy.
I don't know too much about horses. I've ridden them a bunch, especially at like camps over the summer, and like I have some friends that own horses in stables and whatnot. But I don't understand horseshoes exactly. So
yeah.
Are you familiar and like understand like the purpose? I know that like they're to protect obviously the feet of the horses, but like don't horses grow nails? And like they have to shave them off or something.
Yeah, so from what I understand, like the horse hoof can get infected, or if it grows too long, the horse can break its leg. Right. So I think the shoe is to prevent, one, infection from occurring, and two, from the horse hoof getting too long. But you still have to take off the horseshoe, I think. I don't know the whole process. I've never owned a horse.
And
but
it's weird because like there's still like horses in the wild, and like I wonder like how do they, because a lot of the animals that we know take care of themselves. I wonder like can horses take care of this type of stuff for themselves?
That's a good question. I mean, maybe I'm assuming they don't live as long in the wild.
Probably.
I'm sure there's a good reason. As you can see, I'm not a horse person. I'll
have to ask my uncle. He's a horse doctor.
Oh, I'd like a horse doctor, like specifically. Oh wow.
Yeah, like he's actually helped a lot of the the horses that run for the Triple Crown.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he goes to all the derbies, and he loves the Kentucky Derby. That's his favorite.
Apparently so. That's crazy. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
I'll ask him, because that's a good point good interesting point, because we've domesticated them, but there's still also ones in the wild that are not domesticated. Right. We domesticate, I guess, maybe the versions that we want, and we just let the rest run wild, or not necessarily let, because they're gonna do it either way. But
right. And go ahead.
I was just thinking, like, I guess they whenever they break a leg in the wild, they're just dead. Like, what are they gonna do?
I mean, I don't think their fellow horse herd companions are gonna help them out. So yeah, I think that's it. Um, yeah, ripperoni. Uh, but and I I feel genuinely bad for the humans who first were trying to domesticate horses because, and we're gonna talk about this in just a second, but they looked at zebras, right? They're like, oh, great, all right, these are just cooler looking horses. Turns out, as we're gonna talk about, not so much, not so much.
Mm-mm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so
we like to think that zebras are just nice little creatures, but man, they're turning out to be as mean as dolphins.
they're evil. They're apparently
It's
like
crazy.
if yeah, I guess we can just jump right in if you're cool with
Yeah,
that.
tell us about it.
Yeah, so from the video that we talked about or we highlighted last week, turns out that zebras are just downright mean. Um, they remind me a lot of llamas. I grew up next to a ranch that had a bunch of llamas and emus and I think some alpacas. And anyway, just as a sidetrack real quick, llamas are they are hateful.
Goodness.
Yeah, so if you get near one, they're gonna spit at you or they're gonna try to bite you. And keep in mind their teeth are huge. I mean, relative to like your face.
Yeah, they got
So
some peckers.
yeah, I would say so. They're like flat, but like they're crooked. I mean, it looks like someone like did like the opposite of what braces are supposed to do. Like every single one of their like teeth are crooked and anyway.
Don't they look like little small chisels, like the way they are? Just
Yeah,
like
they're like flathead screwdrivers essentially. Yeah. So anyway, they're mean suckers, but zebras are kind of reminding me of that because from what I understand, they're not really don't operate like a herd so much as they kind of do their own thing, except obviously for like mating and stuff. But and they're extremely temperamental. They will not want to come near you. They want to buck you off, apparently, bite you, try to stomp you, uh, and what was the other thing? There's another thing that kind of stood out to me.
oh, I can tell you,
Yeah,
because I caught this one. I was like, man, that stinks for whoever was trying. So they have like a pretty good ducking mechanism. So anytime you try to wrangle them,
yeah.
like they're like, "No, get out of here! You ain't having us."
Yeah, right. And like of all the things that you would want, they don't want to do. Like you want to lasso them to try to get them into your pen, and the one thing that you need them to do, they're experts at avoiding.
Exactly.
So like yeah, they're just all around just terrible. And we bring all this up because um how evolution has transpired like throughout human history like just because something looks the same on the outside like with wolves versus dogs for instance doesn't mean they're the same uh you know I guess mentally at all because I would never have guessed that zebras were that aggressive until we read up on it this past week. So yeah, that was an interesting find anyway.
For sure, and that was one thing I was like curious about, like zebra specifically. Whenever we were in the evolution museum, and I don't think I got a good enough answer personally, but like I want to understand like zebra's colors because that
Yeah.
pattern is actually used. Interestingly enough, in World War II, they put a zebra pattern, like stripes up and down in weird slanted ways on battleships and
Hmm.
other warships, because whenever a submarine has their periscope looking up, it screws up the distance coordinates. Like they can't necessarily tell like exactly the positioning because of the way that the lines are against the water. And that was a really
Oh.
interesting find that I was thinking about. But to tie it back, like I I couldn't get a good enough answer personally, and for why zebras were colored that way. And like the museum talks about how you have like survival of the fittest, obviously, and so the the zebras are patterned like this because the rest of them didn't work or didn't survive. But at least to me, I mean, there doesn't seem to be like a natural logic behind it,
Yeah.
the pattern in the savannah, besides the fact that, these were just this was the pattern that worked. But
Yeah.
why?
When do you think? Yeah. When do you think it would just be okay? Be fast, be small enough to run fast for long periods of time. I mean, like kind of like a gazelle or something, Like you'd think that'd
Yeah.
be it. Um,
But gazelles even have camouflage, right? Like they have
well,
other adaptations to help them, but like the zebras, it's like I don't know if that
right.
coat of colors is doing anything for them, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry. I guess I should have, added on that. Yeah, like, but those camouflages for like gazelles or antelope or whatever, they make sense because if they're brown, which the savannah is mostly brown, from what I've seen in pictures anyway. Um, and yeah, but the zebras, like, it's just so out there. Yeah, and I from that video, to be honest, I didn't get a good. I don't think they really highlighted that, but to be fair, it wasn't really the focus of the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a TBA as far as evolutions goes. So, but yeah, I guess if we want to be a downer for a second, do you want to kind of go over throughout history, like the problems that have come up with domestication? Because it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. Yeah.
I'll tag on at the end, current day, because there's some interesting stuff going on right now.
Yep.
So let's talk about the cons of domestication.
Let's do it.
What you got for us?
Yeah. So, regardless if they're you consider them pets or farm animals, it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, humans and animals can share some diseases just from close contact. And I'm sure a lot of y'all are familiar with H1N1, which was a big story like it's been a few years ago now, but or swine flu, some people call it. And there's bird flu. That's another big name. Of course, you can get rabies from rabid animals such as dogs, for instance. And with cows, you can get tuberculosis. With horses, you can get rhinovirus. So, which to be fair, I think TB has been mostly eradicated. But anyway, and I'm sure there's more, but these are just a few that I found that I think a lot of people have heard about. So those are that was a big one to me. Like as civilization progressed and as people got more and more closely together in cities, diseases spiked. I mean, the whole reason for the worst plague as far as we know in like human history was because of rats. I mean, with the Black Death, yeah. So I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that we did live in such close quarters with other animals, whether we wanted them or not, unfortunately, that's just a consequence of urbanization. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say just like living in communities, like
yeah.
If you have like an area where there's going to be food and animals are hungry, they'll be there.
Yep. I mean, that's essentially it. And it's not always, and I guess it's not just the fault of domestication, but it is a consequence of domestication because,
yes,
because obviously if you have the incentive to herd up a bunch of animals for meat, for companionship, whatever, you're going to bring in more people. And more people means more people, more problems.
Exactly.
So,
couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So rhinovirus from horses. I wonder what happened with that naming.
Yeah, because I mean they don't have a horn, so I'm sure that
except for unicorns.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not the animal. I'm sure there's a much more educated person out there right now who's like, "What are you talking about? It has nothing to do with a rhino." But yeah, I didn't know that you could get tuberculosis from cows. I knew you could get like E. coli, salmonella, but not necessarily just from cows, but from like uncooked meat and poultry and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know you could get tuberculosis. That's a pretty bad one.
I'm just starting to comprehend what we said earlier about how like humans used to be like not necessarily allergic, but like the human bodies did not like cow milk at all. Like that's kind of crazy to think about, because not not so much in France or in Europe, but like America, like we put a lot of civilization on like milk, bread, and eggs.
Yeah.
Like milk is one of the essentials, but like humans, like we were not made for that originally. Like it's pretty interesting how we kind of just almost force fed it into like
Yeah, I
our
mean,
our lives.
I'm assuming it's just because it was easy enough to like mass produce. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have like 20 chickens, you're gonna have hundreds of eggs, so you might as well have figure out a way to guzzle those suckers, you know.
I agree. I mean,
So
because I actually remember the first time like I heard about like the fact that like, hey, you don't really need milk, because whenever I was younger, that got milk ad campaign was like everything. Like
oh
it was a
yeah,
big deal. But I
yeah,
remember I was in I was like, it was during the activity period, which was like the free time part of the day for my school, where I was in one of the classrooms singing out with my friends, and like the school Airbnb said like that milk isn't even good for you. Like it does nothing for you actually. Like you it's not going to change your calcium levels or anything like that. And we all thought that she was like into conspiracy theories or something, but like to find out that like this is how it was, that's pretty wild. I'm still trying to process that. But to get back
yeah.
to the the concept of domestication, I found it really interesting, specifically with pork. So I don't know if you are familiar with like the meat pork too much, but it carries a lot of like problems, like worms, like all kinds of
Right.
viruses and whatnot. And it's interesting because in a lot of like I believe in Arab countries, like as part of religious law, like pork is a no, and
Yeah.
and it makes sense because that animal has been tagged with a lot of problems if you eat it. And so I just thought that that was really interesting because pork, like it has all the qualities that we mentioned earlier, except that its meat is no good. So we like the selection of domestication is a pretty interesting topic, and I mean that's kind of like leveraging the cons of domestication, I would say.
Right. I mean, I love my bacon, but I think I think the only reason we're able to eat pork right now is just because of how advanced machinery has become to sterilize it. But yeah, I mean it's a practical law, especially way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean I get it. Uh, Maybe not in the modern context. It's kind of escapes me, but uh, I don't honestly. I don't really like pork outside of bacon and sausage, and like hot dogs, I guess, because I know pork's in there. But I don't really eat like pork rinds and stuff, or what's the other one, like pork loins?
Loins, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it doesn't really affect me other than taking away my bacon. So
Not the
um,
bacon, bro.
not the bacon, not the bacon, but
But talk about current day stuff. I tell me your personal opinion. COVID. You think it's the flu is going to
uh
be here for the rest of our lives?
because of COVID.
No, I'm
Oh,
asking COVID specifically. Do you think it's going to be like the flu, where it's going to be with us the rest of our lives and kind of just on the same timeline as humans now?
it sure seems that way. I mean, because I mean, it's COVID-19 is came out in 2019. I mean, it was discovered in 2019, I should say. I mean, that's the whole reason why it was named that. So there were other, from what I understand, and I'm not a scientist for a disclaimer, I guess, but there's been several, if not like I don't remember how many, but several flavors of different strands of coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know how long ago it's traced back, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, if we don't have like different variants, I know that that's a big word right now with Omicron currently as of this video. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, viruses are that they mutate all the time to adapt to a changing environment, which right now is resistance to vaccines. So yeah, no, I don't see why not. I mean, we the flu mutates all the time as we know it. So
You brought up a really cool point because we're talking about how you like domestication. Essentially, what we did is like selection and animation, right? Like we kept a certain path alive. But like with viruses, they have that same. I mean, it's not. I don't think I'm not a virologist, but I don't think it's built into them to have this logic. But it just happens that way because the ones that continue are obviously the best. And yeah, that's actually a really interesting parallel. But to get back to my point, I was gonna say I personally, as of this recording, I think that it's just gonna be here because it's waterfalled into the animal population. I heard about like deer. They were testing deer and some crazy number, like upwards of like more than 50% of the deer that they tested had COVID.
Like our COVID?
Like yeah, like it had waterfalled.
I didn't. So I heard like way back, like when this whole thing really started kicking off in early 2020, that dogs could get it too. But that's that's the last thing I heard about it, because then it shifted to humans, right? Because obviously people were scared. So
did you hear about the ferret fur factories and like I don't know, maybe it was like
the ferret fur factories? No, I've never heard of a ferret fur factory.
Well, it was I don't remember which country, but there was a group of ferrets and that got COVID, and it was a big concern because they were spreading it, and I believe the workers got it from the ferrets.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's it's spilled over into the animal population. So I think it's just gonna be here. It's a perpetual virus now.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, from what I understand, like coronavirus has been around a long time, but that specific strain, COVID-19, was was the one that was really concerning when the news broke, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Politically, like people will debate like what to do with that information, but yeah, to answer your question, yeah, for sure, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Nice. Well, I guess not nice, but
oh yeah, not nice. Yeah.
But, maybe nice for Pfizer.
Yeah, or the what I guess J&J and Moderna. Yeah. Yeah, which, hey, I mean, props to you if you've invested in that stock this long, because you're doing okay. You're making bank.
Do you want to move on to some more information?
Sure.
Or do you want to take a commercial break? What are you thinking?
I think we should jump to a commercial break. We've been talking about pets and food. Let's talk about more food. That's the one I got for you. We're talking about.
Let me just let you know. I took the liberty of not doing the same commercial breaks as you.
Oh, okay.
I came up with another one, and so you're gonna do whichever one you choose, but I'm gonna do the new one. And I hope you like it. So it's a little surprise for you.
I'm all about it. Yeah, let's do a change up. Yeah, we gotta stay on our toes, man. Let's do it.
So I will go ahead and tell you the title of this, and I want you to guess what it's about. So the title of this commercial break is called "Smackin' or Lackin'."
is that an original?
Yes, I thought about it as I was like,
is this like a? Am I supposed to like be rating like attractive people or something? Like
no.
Okay, just making sure. I was like, I don't want to. We were talking about serious stuff, and now we're just gonna get all shallow. Like, nah, swipe. We're gonna swipe on that one. That ain't worth it.
So the premise of smacking or lacking is I'm gonna bring up up a topic. You're gonna tell me if like, yeah, that's a hit, that's great, or lacking as in like, that's a fad, and it's also not good.
I got you. Okay.
So I have two for you. One, and I made two because I'm actually a little worried we might have talked about this before.
Okay.
But pineapple on pizza.
So I think we have done that one before, but you
I'd
said
like to revisit it because my opinion has changed.
Uh-oh. Lacking. No, that's lacking. That's a big fat lacking for me. It's just it. So let me tell you why. I may have said it. I may be repeating myself from whenever I said it last. But the idea of just this wet, just this wet substance like permeating through my pizza and just making it all like gooey. It's just, and it may not even be true when I eat it, but just the thought of it just grosses me out. Like that's like the main kicker for me for pineapple. Like if you put like any wet fruit on my pizza, I'm gonna have problems. But you said you changed your opinion, so I want to hear it. Maybe it'll change my mind.
My opinion has changed.
Okay, all right.
I think that pineapple on pizza is appropriate for whenever you're on an island.
On an island, okay.
Such as Hawaii. I remember having Hawaiian pizza and like pineapple on pizza in Hawaii, and the reason it wasn't good, I've come to realize this after much thought, is we had pizza from some random jank joint, like some random restaurant that might not have even been on Google Maps. Like I think Google Maps is a pretty good qualifier for if this place is legit or not.
Sure.
I think that pineapple pizza would be really good if it was natural and not just like some canned like pineapple just slapped on there.
Yeah.
I think it would be good. I'm gonna be honest.
All right.
This is just my thought. So when in Hawaii or on an island, that's my opinion now, and that is to say, it is still lacking.
So you still think it's lacking?
I think it's lacking, but it could smack if you're on an island.
Yeah, that's a specific smack. So overall, it's an overall lack still for me. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, I can see an argument. Like if you're from Hawaii, maybe you're like, oh, what are you talking about? You guys are just uncultured. So I get it. Fair. I guess. But
next one.
All right.
Mayonnaise. Mayo.
Oh, just mayonnaise.
Just mayonnaise, the sauce.
Just by itself, not like mixed in with other stuff, for like barbecue, like for what is it, like cane sauce or Chick-fil-A sauce? Just mayonnaise.
Yes, so you're getting at it. So let's go with just by itself because honestly I'm curious.
What? I put mayonnaise on stuff like for like burgers and like hot dogs and like just typical American food, I guess. I don't like just love mayonnaise, but I'll put it as a topping with stuff. I know some people are grossed out by it.
But is it smacking though?
Smacking may be a stretch, but it's not lacking though. It's like a smacking. It's like somewhere in the middle.
I like it.
Yeah. Is there like a middle option?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think you're gonna have to default to lacking because you didn't say it was smacking.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, all right, it's lacking, I guess. A mild lack. It's a mild lack.
A mild lack. I like that. I like that. So personally, I don't think I've ever liked mayonnaise, and I think it's lacking. But you brought up a good point because since I'm in France right now, we don't have a lot of the sauces that I'm used to. Like we don't have cane sauce like you mentioned, Chick-fil-A sauce in particular. Oh gosh, barbecue sauce. Like those things are precious to me because I'm all about the sauce. I'm a sauce boy.
Yeah.
So
you got ketchup though, right?
Ketchup exists, yes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So the thing about mayonnaise that I've come to realize is it's literally in everything I love. Like it's the base sauce of pretty much every other sauce that I love. So I've come to understand
appreciate it.
why. Yeah, appreciate why it is here and why it's important,
Right.
but it's not smacking.
Yeah, I mean, like it's in ranch for crying out loud. How could you hate ranch? So
You know what? I introduced ranch to Jean's family, and the thing that she noticed, because they were all interested, they love looking at the nutrition facts, or not necessarily nutrition facts, but like the ingredients list and that stuff to see what's going on there, see what it's really made out of, because they're so used to making everything from scratch. Like they literally make, whenever I tried making the Whataburger patty melt sauce and the base was mayonnaise,
yeah.
and so I was like, I put on it like a grocery list, like let's buy some mayonnaise then from the store. They made mayonnaise here, like homemade
Oh, like
mayonnaise.
they made mayonnaise.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was crazy. Like with the oil and
Man.
like the yolk and I don't remember what else
Wow.
went into it, but I was like, dang, like they just make everything like straight up. And so and I guess that's why French food is so good. But to continue, so with mayonnaise, I got it. Shoot, I forgot what I was saying, to be honest. I got so wrapped up in like the thought of like
So what
Chick-fil-A sauce.
it sounds like you think it's slapping or smacking. Sorry, smacking.
You know what? Slapping should be the middle.
Smacking, slap. Yeah, because slapping implies that okay, I'll take a small hit for it, but smacking you can just go full on just backhand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just remembered where I was going with that statement. So I showed them ranch because my mom sent me some ranch in a package. Bless her for that. The classic Hidden Valley Ranch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I looked at the ingredient list. It had milk in it. It had mayonnaise. It also had eggs and whatnot. Like just by default, it had this stuff in there. It has 0 protein. Now, how is that possible? There's all kinds of things that inherently have protein, but there was 0 protein listed on the nutrition. It was very interesting. If I would like you next time that you go to Walmart, Target, or whenever you pull out ranch next, check out that, because I wonder what's going on there.
So it said it had milk and eggs in there, but no protein.
Yeah.
Sussy. Seems a little sus.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Huh.
So, anyways.
So what do you think? Slapping, blacking, smacking?
I'd say slapping. With the right application, even by itself, mayonnaise can be good.
Yeah, like I wouldn't eat like spoonfuls of mayonnaise, but yeah, that'd be gross.
You know what though? Since we're talking about cooking, you remember Joseph. So, as you know, I'm a world-renowned class professional grilled cheese sandwich maker. I've made your grilled cheese before.
It's good. It's really good.
You know what's up.
It's smacking.
Thank you.
It's smacking.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Joseph always used to tell me whenever he would come and outside of his room, very rarely. I don't know. I'm throwing him like shadow hate, but anyways, he always suggested, instead of me putting butter on the pan, to get some mayonnaise and and go across the bread that I would be putting against the skillet or the pan like butter. And a couple of months ago, I wanted to improve my grilled cheese. I was like, it is so good that I want to make it even better. And maybe, just maybe, if I eat this, I will never, ever have to worry about my grilled cheese sandwich not being the best.
Right.
Come to find out through YouTube tutorial videos and whatnot, that's actually the best way to cook a grilled cheese is with mayonnaise on the bread, because it doesn't like necessarily burn your bread, and it doesn't like make it all like greasy and oily. Like it's the perfect like medium for heating up the cheese up in possibly meat in between the bread. So I gotta say, Joseph, if you're ever listening to this, you were right.
Props to Joseph. Joseph came through with the smacking recipe.
Absolutely.
All right.
Do you want to go back to what would you like to go to because I know we touched on zebras versus horses. I do have some personal notes, but I didn't know. Did you have another specific point you wanted to hit?
I think I've touched what I wanted to go over today, but yeah, hit me with it. What do you got for me?
Sure. So, I would like to talk about a restaurant. Now, we both spent some time in Oklahoma. Formerly, we also have done our fair share of trying out restaurants there.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, let me tell you, there's a restaurant where we didn't go to. I tried to go to, didn't happen, and I don't think you knew about. But it's rated one of the best burgers in all of the United States by, I think, T Magazine. Mears or Mers. I think it's called Mers.
Yeah.
Do you know about Mers?
So I actually have been there.
You have? Oh shit! I spoke too soon.
Yeah, so earlier this year, I had some time off before work started for me, and so I drove up to, I think, the Wichita, right? The Wichita Mountains.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's that little restaurant, Mears. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they had their burgers were, oh my God, they were like some of the best, just all around, just examples of what a burger should be, in my opinion. They were incredible.
Tell me why the meat tasted so good.
So from what I remember, it wasn't really thick. It wasn't like a thick patty. It was like a thinner patty. I think I got the double one. I was hungry.
You were munching.
Yeah, it was like just this little restaurant. It was old. It's like an old restaurant too.
It looked like it was from the Wild West. It had like all kinds of just wooden boards across it, and nothing was up to date, like from the outside.
No, not at all.
And you would never know that it was like a good restaurant unless like you read the signs, like because they also have, like, wasn't it one of the world's best ice creams as well?
I didn't try that. But I saw that too. Their fries were good too. If I remember right. But yeah, the thing about the burger was they didn't have a lot of stuff on it in terms of toppings unless you asked. Like, it was like very strict. It was like, I think, mustard and pickles and not much else. I can't remember all what was on it, but you could ask for other stuff. But it was so good. I mean, everything. It wasn't greasy. It wasn't overflowing.
I like that.
Yeah, it was good.
Let me tell you I appreciate you saying all the parts you like. Let me tell you scientifically, that burger is so good.
All right, go for it.
I'm not even joking. I went on a hiking and climbing trip with some friends, and they explained it to me. And they even, like, we pulled up to a restaurant. We tried to eat there, and it was like, I think it was the middle of a Thursday afternoon, and it was nighttime by the time that we went there. But even during the day, we drove past it to go to the mountains. There was a line out the door. It was crazy. But they explained to me, they have found the perfect measurements for a burger: a 7-inch diameter patty. Okay, and
wow,
I sound like I'm religious about burgers. Although burgers have a special place in my heart. But here's the real kicker.
Yeah.
This restaurant has the farm where you get the meat, the cows, directly next to it. So you kind of, it's at an intersection almost, right? So to the right of on the other side of the restaurant, on the other side of the road of the restaurant, on the right side, there is the farm where the cows are, they're brought up and, slaughtered and made into food. Their patties are 99% meat and 1% fat. They have gotten it down. That's what's so good about them. It is that, obviously there's variants, but they proudly talk about that. And it's completely from longhorn cows. Like, it's
That must be why it wasn't so greasy, because like
Exactly.
it wasn't greasy at all. It was like, yeah, nothing came out.
Isn't that crazy? How like
Huh.
how like systematic and perfect they've gotten it down.
Yeah, I had no clue. That's crazy. I just thought, yeah, they were just frozen patties. They got it from somewhere, you know.
Frozen
But
patties.
yeah, no, it was super good. I can see why people. When I went there, there weren't a lot of people, because it was like 11 o'clock. It was like on a Sunday,
Oh,
uh,
that makes sense.
so there weren't a lot of people. But yeah, normally like the lady, the waitress was telling me that yeah, it's just swarming with people, and it's not a big building at all. If you've been there,
Yeah,
um,
isn't it like max like 120 or something like that?
yeah, if that, yeah, it's small. So, well, yeah, super good. I'm glad, man. I haven't eaten lunch yet. You bringing that up makes me hungry, dude.
And I, by the way, I didn't mean to like to presuppose that you are not knowledgeable about this great American restaurant.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
I mean, I'm slightly offended. I'm gonna cancel you on Twitter now. Sorry, man.
Oh God.
But
To go back, I hate to do this because I'm going to talk about more food.
oh no.
So I want to tell you about the food that I ate today.
Oh no. All right. Man, you make everything from scratch over there, so you're just gonna make me hungrier.
Dude, you are not going to believe the lunch that I had today.
uh, I'm waiting, man. I'm ready and waiting.
And I'm going to be honest, like, all of the next points that I have are about food. So you might want to grab a snack or something. But
Oh, crap. I gotta go. All right, go for it. I'm ready.
I had, oh man, I had lamb. Okay,
Ooh.
like, but not just any lamb. It was baby lamb mutton. It was, and here's the thing, it was sliced literally down the vertebrae. So I had the spinal, like I had the spine, the vertebrae, and the spinal, like nervous, like whatever tissue, like part inside of the vertebrae with the meat around it, the fat and everything. And it was crazy because it was so fresh. It was one of the most, like, I don't know how to describe it more than just the most full tasting piece of meat that I've tasted in a long time. It was incredible.
Right.
Now,
Wow. Okay.
that's the main course, right? The main entree. Well, I mean, I guess there's the other two parts I'm talking about, but along with that, I had potato, like diced potatoes. They were
Mm-hmm.
cooked in foie gras grease. So
Foie gras.
is it's a French meat. It's foie gras, and it's they usually have it around Christmas. And I had foie gras with truffle infused in it, which was
Oh
very
man,
good.
you live in high. Wow.
And here's the crazy part. So they cooked the well, Jan's dad we now cooked it. He cooked most of the meal except for the green beans, I believe. But he cooked the potato wedges in foie gras grease, and it was so good. Like you have the taste of the potato, then you have
Yeah.
the aftertaste and like of this grease that it was cooked on, which was really good. Now you're probably wondering, as well as the listeners, what is foie gras, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm curious too.
So it's duck liver, and it's duck liver that's been overstuffed with other food, such as fats and whatnot. Force fed, I guess you would say, which is a
Oh.
little uncomfortable to say, but like, shoot, it tastes good.
Man. All right. That's
Now,
like I think I had McDonald's the other day. So.
and
Wow.
so along with that, I had standard typical green beans, but this was cooked in the fats and sauce that came from the mutton, the baby mutton. Now that was something interesting. I ain't tasted green beans like that before. It was really good. I mean, it was just green beans, but wow, did it taste good.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. I cannot even compare what I ate yesterday. I think I had. Oh no, I had Chick-fil-A. I had Chick-fil-A, which is still good.
Hey, that's good. I ain't hating on that.
But you know, I want me some. What is it? Foie gras, foie gras,
Foie gras.
foie gras. Okay. Shoot, man.
Okay, I'm not even done yet. I'm not done yet.
Oh my lord! All right, you're torturing me.
I'm sorry. So then, and next we had a whole entire cheese plate, right? Charcuterie board, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some blue cheese. They actually like blue cheese is just like an American term. I had some Saint Ajour, I believe, is the brand that we had, and it's like it's a specific cheese that's you know injected with the stuff to make blue cheese to produce the mold and whatnot. I had that as well as mimolette, really good cheese. Then after that, those are the two cheeses I had because I knew that there was the next part coming, the dessert. I had a galette that's specific for today, and a galette is a cake, a type of cake. And wait, shoot, I might be screwing this up. It's a cake. Let's not use the French term. I might have messed it up. But it was like think about like it's so hard to describe because there's nothing like this in the US. It's like almond filling of a pie, but it's not really a pie. It's more like a very geez, it's hard. I don't explain it, but let me just tell you, it was good. It was good.
Shoot. Well, yeah, I'm jealous.
Now, you're probably wondering what's the point of me saying this? Well, I gotta tell you, and this connects back to Mir's having good food. Like it makes so much sense because I touched and talked a little bit about mass ag earlier. It's like it makes so much sense when you think about it. It's like the thing that you're eating, if they're eating good, then it's probably gonna taste good. It's probably gonna taste better because it has nutrients and whatnot. But,
and even then, like, there's also the not a placebo effect, but like the psychology behind it. Like, okay, someone is making something scratch made for me, and so even if it may not be necessarily objectively better, taste wise, you're still gonna think it tastes better.
For sure.
Then,
and
like,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not a big proponent of like the free range, like grass fed, like all that stuff. I mean, I'm not a huge proponent of that, but I can tell you that just by experience, things taste better whenever the thing that you're eating also had good food. It makes sense. It's easy math, and you know, first hand experience. Like it's crazy. I mean, do you think this is a hard question? Do you think that burger you had is probably one of the best burgers you've ever had?
One of them. I mean, I there may be another one that I just can't remember right now, but that's definitely way up there, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
The meat, did it really taste like did it taste like it was supposed to taste?
It was exactly. It tasted like it was supposed to. Like you weren't let down at all. Yeah, so 100%. Yeah, no, I mean, you bring up a good point, man. I mean, I think it all ties back to maybe our just history with animals, and you know, when we got detached, I guess, from how animals are made, or sorry, processed for food. I think you lose some of that. You're not as appreciative, and you don't cherish it as much, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's humbling, right? Like to understand the whole entire process of how this animal is born and how it becomes food for us.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah. Well, it sounds like that was just a big highlight for your week, man. But I wanted to jump into another commercial break real quick, and I wanted to. Yeah, it's the start of the new year. It's January. As of this recording, it's January 2nd. So I wanted to ask, hey, you know, like what's the highlight of 2021? I know it's been kind of a crazy year, like world wise. I think everyone feels that, but I wanted to ask, like, what is like the major, you know, event that's happened to you in your life that you're, I guess, grateful for or thankful for?
I would say I can't pick one because there's so many. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I had a great experience every day. There was hard days. There was hard times. I mean, there's seasons like that. But
Yep.
some of the, because I think that's important whenever we talk about highlights. Like, you know how it is with social media. Like you just see the good, the best
Sure.
moments.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
with highlights, like I mean, certainly I had been, and you're aware of this, and you know this. I had been trying since I was a freshman in college to get an internship, and
Yeah.
I just perfectly, like a feather in the hat, just almost accidentally, I got an internship. I scored an internship, and I had a wonderful time. I had a great mentor and manager, and it was a wonderful experience. That was a highlight. And also, coupled with that highlight, the fact that I left the retail industry. I had
Yeah.
just been working to make money week to week, and at a retail job, and you know, it's not something I enjoy. I'm gonna be honest. It's just not for
I have a feeling a
and
lot.
that.
Yeah,
Also,
I was just saying a lot of people in the retail industry probably agree with you.
yeah, for sure. I mean, and also, I don't know what it is. It's like it's that psychological thing where you're like leaving a job, and you're like, I don't got to deal with any of these people anymore. None of this matters. Like the 2 weeks thing. It's like I really wonder who invented that. Like, was it the company? I bet it was the company because they need to replace, or the person. But it's like,
Yeah.
even when I was at the job, like I was just like having like I was still working, but I was having fun. And I remember like one of the people that was like my age, but like had a higher position, was like trying to tell me to do something, and I was like, nah, I'm not. And I was like messing around, and so and like one of the friends I had at the job was like, hey, it's just 2 weeks. Who even cares? Like,
Yeah, I think the whole point of 2 weeks is just like for HR, like to try to find someone new. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like the feeling's real when you don't have to worry about your current job because you found a new one. It's real.
exact.
It's real. But oh, that's awesome. Did
Oh
you have?
wait, what? Yeah, sorry, I had one more. So that the internship was a big highlight, and then France, like getting to be with my girlfriend and
Yeah,
explore
that's
France.
big.
That was, I mean, it was a highlight.
Oh, I would say so. I was about to remind you in case you forgot. I was like, you know, you're in another country. I may want to bring that up. I don't know. Yeah.
So tell me yours. I'm really curious. I mean,
Well,
I
so I started my job last year. So I guess, or sorry, in 2020. So technically, that's not a highlight. But I did buy a house. That's like that
that's a
was
big adult thing.
that was a very stressful adult thing, but it worked out. You know, I got in before real estate market kind of got crazy. Um, I'm really grateful that I have a place to stay right now because in Dallas, I don't know if you've kept up because I know obviously you're across the ocean right now, but you know, rent is crazy high in this city anyway. Um, and I think it's just that way in most major cities in the U.S. And it's just things are just so expensive right now. So I'm very grateful that I was able to find a house affordable enough for me. So I mean, above anything else, I mean that's been a major highlight of my
And I
year.
mean, personally, like for me, like just to say, like I mean, you funding a house and like moving back to Dallas and having a job and whatnot, it's been a blessing in my life. Like
Oh.
that's a really big move for you. Like literally from not I mean not necessarily huge
Yeah.
move. I mean it's Florida to Texas, but like that like dude that's a highlight. You got in at just the right time. Like it was supposed to be like that.
I agree. I think things have a way of working out that way if you know put your foot forward first. You know, obviously it's not just going to fall in your lap, but yeah, I appreciate you saying that, man. That I'm glad I'm back. You know, I'm close to family and friends, and obviously, you know, you're from the Dallas area, so got to hang out with you a lot more. You know, offline, so it's been great. I'm glad to be back, but yeah. So if to jump to another subject, I don't know if you, I don't know if you, I know you have had a different topic, but I wanted to bring up as almost tradition at this point the Guinness World Record segment because
I want to hear it.
yeah. So this one's kind of. I really should have done this one at Thanksgiving, but nah. What do you do, right? So I found the record for the world's heaviest pumpkin ever,
Can I
and
guess?
yeah. Well, first of all, I want to know what you think. Yeah. Well, what's that?
I
What's its weight?
I'm thinking. Shoot, it can't. Huh? I'm gonna say. I don't know if I sound dumb by saying this, but like maybe like 80 pounds is too much, right? Like I'm gonna go 80 pounds.
How about 2,700?
What in the world?
Man,
You got a house? Oh my gosh!
that's like no, that's a truck, man. That is heavier than some trucks actually.
Jeez.
2,700 pounds, man.
2,700 pounds.
I don't even know. I so from what I read, this pumpkin, what
Mhm.
this guy did or girl, I can't remember. They chose one healthy looking pumpkin and they took
Mhm.
all the other pumpkins out of the patch, and all the nutrients were being pumped into this one pumpkin, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess they just created a monster.
That's like how we were talking about. I think like maybe the first or second episode where like in vineyards like they'll take off a certain amount of grapes so that nutrients can be like more potent for the
Yeah,
remaining grapes.
right,
It's just
right.
like that. Wow, that's a
2,700
big
pounds.
pumpkin.
I, you're gonna make a lot of pumpkin pie with that. I mean,
The thing
wow.
is like something that big. Okay, this can we attach on this like the commercial breaker segment like from the ground or like pumpkins are like
They
they grow
grow
up on
on.
top,
Yeah, they grow on top. Yeah.
man, but that had to have like something a pumpkin that big had to have displaced like dirt and like the
Oh
stem
yeah.
has to like be all the way up on like has to reach the top from the ground, like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
if that I'd encourage you all to look up a picture of it because essentially what it looks like it's melting. Like the pumpkin looks like it's just this blob. Like it's
So it's not
not.
like a round like
Oh no.
spherical.
It's like
Really?
it looks like the bottom half of Jabba the Hutt. I mean, it
Is
looks
so it's like deformed.
it's deformed. Oh yeah, it's not a pretty pumpkin.
It's a big boy.
It's a chunky boy. It's very chunky. He's thick with like five C's.
Oh boy.
He's a thick boy.
And a
But
QUE at the end to top it.
oh yeah, all the thick. I mean, he dumping. But
That's wild.
yeah. So yeah,
2,700 pounds.
yeah. I
Jeez.
mean, it's crazy. But did you have anything else you wanted to bring up before we jump into next week's topic?
No, I'm good. So let's talk about the homework for the next episode.
All right. So so yeah, again, thank you for coming up with a topic for next week. So we're going to talk about surveillance and authority, which I know we talked about a couple weeks ago, but I think it's a good idea to jump back into it because it was kind of a sub segment, I guess. So I'm really glad you're bringing it up again, Alex, because I think it's important to examine, at a macro scale, I guess, where we may be headed or a particular future in which that can be envisioned, right? So, and this is just appropriate. I mean, you have to read it. 1984 by George Orwell. And on top of that, wouldn't you agree? Like maybe after you read it, watch the video on the dystopian world of 1984.
Yep,
Uh,
I certainly agree. And to kind of reiterate, like we did talk a little bit about surveillance and authority, but I think it would be a very productive topic again as a main segment parallel with 1984. Like we're going to be talking specifically all in this book. Like it's a fictional world, and we're not going to be like necessarily talking about our world. We're going to be talking about like what was George Orwell telling us? Like what did he see,
right.
and what can we see? And I think it's certainly helpful to just stick in the book but we can also, have the ties to the real world in there. But we're going to be trying really hard to analyze, understand, and just see what George Orwell sculpted. Like, I mean, it's one of the most academically suggested books, is it not?
Oh yeah, it's way up there. I mean, I'm sure most people have certainly heard about it, but I think yeah, it's just good to read if you haven't read it in a while, or if you've never read it. I mean, it's just important to, I think, examine, because it's obviously I'm not going to talk about it right now, but it's a good measurement, I think, of just the human condition. And yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna have a good discussion, I think, next week.
And one more thing, just a little side note. There are certainly lots more themes in 1984, but we're just going to be covering and focusing on surveillance and authority specifically.
That's a good point. Yeah, and so finally, we're going to be listening to for this coming week, "Learning to Survive" by We Came as Romans, which I believe I've heard of before, but I need to definitely listen to it again. So
yes, so this band, Andrew actually suggested it to me, and that's how I found out about them. But also, they have a very popular song, and they do covers. So like they're kind of like metal, like maybe a little bit punk, but they have a punk cover for a pop song.
cool.
Glad You Came, which is like,
Oh yeah.
So that's probably where you know them from. But like,
yeah.
I mean, their production is tight, and they've kind of like just found their place in the world of music, and are just embracing the metal that they do. And I mean, y'all better check it out, because I mean, it might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, but it doesn't mean it's not a bad song.
I'm all about it. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm excited. Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
tell us the challenge of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it's just appropriate. I mean, I couldn't think of anything else more appropriate. You gotta get those New Year's resolutions in, people, and don't break them the first week. I'm guilty of doing that in the past. Yeah, so get those resolutions in and stick with them. So yep, and as usual, just like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in this week, and please join us next time. Let's keep it real.
Keep it real.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.